There were some more economic numbers released today, adding to the dismal outlook, sadly, for Americans. The producer price index number is out, and it climbed 11.3% from 1 year earlier. And that is also, folks, near the record, which was 11.6 posted just this past March. The increase due to a big jump in energy costs, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics reporting. There was a positive note. They say that the price for chicken and eggs did decrease 30.2%. But of course, this follows yesterday's number, the CPI, a historic 9.1%, and inflation in our country is the highest level we've seen since 1981. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about this in depth is our Money Huddle analyst, president of Zuma Global, Heather Zumaraga, also Seth Denson, Newsmax contributor, business and market analyst, and Peter Morici, the former chief economist, United States International Trade Commission, international business professor emeritus at the University of Maryland. It's great to have you all with us today on such an important day where more numbers are out. Great to see all of you.
Good to be here, Bianca.
So let's talk about this. I mean, people hear a lot of numbers. We hear 9.1 yesterday. Now we hear 11.3. But in both cases, Peter, these numbers were worse than even economists expected. At this point, people say inflation is accelerating, really. What's your advice?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's accelerating. We're going to have lower energy costs next month, and so things will get a little bit better. But my advice is that people have to just ride it out, that we're going to have to endure some kind of recession if they want to get this thing back down to 2%. My concern is that they don't do that they behave like they did in the 1970s, where the Fed would put the foot on the brakes for a little bit, then let up and and then what happens is when you ultimately take the cure, it's much worse. So my feeling is the Fed ought to slam the brakes hard. We take our medicine and we get through this.
Well, we know the Fed's meeting again this month. And Heather and Seth, I kind of want you both to weigh in on some of the media that's been coming out. There's a trend they're finding. The Biden administration, I mean, you don't really have to be an economist to know this. They don't have experience. 0 years experience, says Breitbart. Even Wall Street Journal saying, you know, no experience needed. Come on, work for this administration. It is an issue that the policies are making us poorer, Heather. Have they called you yet for some advice?
No, my phone line is available, though. I just checked right before I hopped on. No, not at all. Look, there are much better people, like Dr. Morici, for example, better qualified than I am. But yet, some people currently in the administration, you know, not even having my PhD, I may be able to give some good advice. For example, I think that's why President Trump was so successful. He has a business background. I mean, anyone with any a professional career in the private sector outweighs a political career politician. So, I mean, you can't learn the stuff that you learn in a real world, like how to cut costs, how to manage a business, the logistics of stuff. You can't really learn that from a book. So no matter how much education and schooling you may have, it would help the administration to have more people from the private sector who understand business and how the economy works.
And Seth, you know, it's a great point, and it feeds into sort of consumers who now know this. They read this and they say, well, the government doesn't know what they're doing. Won't be the first time, but they're going to retract. They're not going to spend. They're going to hold on to their money because they see the prices going up and up, and they're losing purchasing power to begin with. But it doesn't instill confidence. This administration has done nothing to make people feel like they have anything under control.
Well, listen, you start to think about the fact that the administration has told us for now over a year, it's not raining outside and there's no chance of rain. And then you look outside and there's dark storm clouds everywhere you look. So eventually you kind of look up and go, well, wait a minute, something isn't adding up here, especially when I go to the store to use my money. It's going a lot less as far as it once did. The reality of things, and Peter's right when he talks about the energy prices, I think that will decelerate the inflation rate. But let's realize why that is. If you look at September deliverables on energy versus August, those are down. That's not because of anything this administration has done. It's because we are predicting a recession. And energy usage will be less. So I think these are the challenges, and unfortunately we're not hearing anything out of this administration, including the Fed, which I guess you could say isn't necessarily this administration, that says here's what the problem is and here's how we're going to control it. That's what consumers need to get their confidence back up.
Yeah, let's listen to White House Council of Economic Advisors Chair Cecilia Rouse responding to Biden predicting that inflation had peaked in December.
The inflation we're seeing is due to the pandemic. And is due to the war. And we're not done with this pandemic. We're now seeing that China is under threat of lockdown again. While we have made great progress on many aspects of the supply chain, we're not done with this pandemic.
Peter, just 30 seconds. Can you react to her comments there?
Well, $1.9 trillion in stimulus spending was financed by the Fed printing money. And now a lot of that is sitting around in households' checkbooks, which they're spending and they're using to bid up rents and gas and all the rest. For them to say that it's limited to the pandemic and the war and so forth is disingenuous. Their fingerprints are all over this inflation.
Peter, Seth, Heather, Money Huddleists, it's great to have you in and appreciate all the insight you can give us. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bianca.